Cold killed more soldiers than bullets. That's not hype, that's history. During the brutal winters of World War II, especially on the Eastern Front and in high-altitude theatres, exposure was a silent executioner. Frostbite, hypothermia, frozen fingers that couldn't pull a trigger. And in the middle of all that misery, one tiny, almost laughable object helped thousands survive another night. A small heat candle. Cheap, simple, deadly effective against the cold. Why was winter a bigger enemy than the battlefield? World War II winters were unforgiving. Temperatures regularly dropped far below freezing. Soldiers slept in foxholes, ruined buildings, or cramped shelters with little insulation. Fuel was scarce. Fires gave away positions. Heavy heaters were impossible to carry. And once your core temperature dropped, it was a fast downhill slide. Cold doesn't just make you uncomfortable. It slows reaction time, weakens decision-making, turns minor injuries into fatal ones. Entire units were rendered combat ineffective without a single shot fired. Armies learned quickly that staying warm wasn't a luxury. It was survival. The candle that didn't look like much. The heat candle was deceptively small, roughly the size of a tin can, made from wax or solid fuel, often paraffin-based. No moving parts. No smoke plume like a fire, just a steady, controlled flame designed to burn for hours. On paper it sounded useless. One candle against a frozen night? But this wasn't about heating a room. It was about keeping a human body alive. And that's where the genius came in. How could something so small save a life? A single heat candle could raise the temperature inside a small enclosed space just enough to prevent hypothermia. In a dugout, under a poncho, inside a shelter made of scrap wood and earth. Soldiers learned quickly that even a few degrees made the difference between shivering through the night and waking up alive. The candle worked by doing three things. First, it provided radiant heat directly to the body. Second, it warmed the air in tight spaces, reducing heat loss. Third, it helped dry damp clothing and boots, which was critical because wet fabric in freezing temperatures is a death sentence. This wasn't comfort heat. This was survival heat. The real power was how soldiers used it. The candle alone wasn't the miracle. The technique was. You know, soldiers placed the candle beneath their coats, inside helmets or under makeshift stoves made from cans and scrap metal. Some suspended it inside shelters using wire. Others paired it with blankets to trap warmth. A few even used it to keep water from freezing solid overnight. One candle could burn for 4 to 6 hours, depending on design. That was enough to get through the coldest stretch before dawn. And dawn meant movement. Movement meant circulation. Circulation meant life. Why fires were too dangerous, you ask? Well, open fires were risky. Smoke gave away positions. Flames could be seen for miles at night. Fuel was heavy and limited. And in combat zones, lighting a fire could mean instant artillery or sniper attention. Heat candles burned low and steady. Minimal smoke. Small flame. Easy to conceal. You could shield it with your body or terrain. It was heat without a target on your back. That made it ideal for frontline troops, resistance fighters, and downed airmen hiding behind enemy lines. Cold breaks morale long before it breaks the body. A heat candle gave soldiers something priceless. control, the ability to fight back against the environment. Lighting that candle wasn't just about warmth, it was about hope. It said, "I can make it through this night." That psychological boost mattered. Soldiers who slept better made better decisions. They reacted faster. They endured longer. In war, that edge stacks up fast. Not just soldiers benefited, you know. Civilians used similar heat candles during air raids and power outages. Refugees relied on them in bombed-out cities. Prisoners of war scavenged or improvised versions using grease, cloth and containers. In frozen camps and ruined towns, a single flame could mean the difference between surviving winter or, well, just becoming another statistic. Why does this simple bit of tech still matter today? Modern survival kits still include heat candles or solid fuel tablets for a reason. The science hasn't changed, not really. Human bodies lose heat rapidly in cold environments. Controlled flame plus insulation equals survival. Mountaineers, preppers and emergency responders use the same principle today. Small heat source, enclosed space, smart placement. The WWII heat candle was ahead of its time because it understood the real problem. Not heating the world, but just keeping one person alive. The lesson's hidden in plain sight, if you ask me. History loves big machines, tanks, bombers, battleships, but survival often comes down to the smallest tools used the smartest way. The WWII heat candle didn't win battles. It won mornings. It bought time. It kept hands functional and minds sharp. And quietly, night after freezing night, it kept thousands alive long enough to see the war end. That's the kind of hidden history worth remembering. If you enjoyed uncovering this forgotten survival secret, make sure you subscribe to Hidden Histories WWII, share this video with someone who loves real wartime stories, and stay tuned. Because the past still has lessons to teach us.